The town of Berlin. Country charm at the center of Connecticut.
So let's call this meeting to order and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our roll call.
Councilor Del Costassin.
Here.
Mayor Jasinski.
Here.
Councilor Letty.
Here.
Councilor Panessa.
Here.
Councilor Russo.
Here.
Councilor Giovanna.
Here.
Councilor Leach. Here. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We have our audience of citizens. If there's anyone wishes to speak at our audience of citizens, now would be the time. Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close that. We'll move on to our meeting agenda. And before I get started, just if people are going to watch it at home, we thought it was important to have this meeting, which could be the last one for a while in person, depending upon how things go. We hope things clear up with the virus before then, but we just thought it was important to get updated as a group from our town manager on what's going on in town and the steps we've taken, and just to have a little bit of a discussion as part of the town manager's report later. And there was a couple items of business we just wanted to get through that is important to the town. So, and our audience is very small. We're keeping our social distance, and we won't stay here very long. So anyway. So we're at our consent agenda. We've all, I assume, reviewed the agenda. There's various donations. We're waiving some fees. And if everyone's read it and is comfortable, go ahead and take a motion.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda items tonight.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so moved. All right, so we are on to we have our public hearing. So I'm going to call the public hearing to order. And purpose of the public hearing, meet at Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut, on Tuesday, March 17, 2020, at 7 o'clock for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the following proposed amendment to the Public Golf Course Commission Ordinance, amending the Public Golf Course Ordinance, Chapter 2, Part J, Section 2 through 184, Budget, Schedule of Charges. Following the public hearing, Town Council is expected to consider and act upon the amendment to the ordinance dated Berlin, Connecticut, the 6th day of March 2020. Published date, March 12th. So now it's a public hearing, so if we have any comments from the public, now would be the time. Hearing no comments from the public, I'll go ahead and close the public comments, and now we have town council comments. No comments. And we've obviously discussed it in the ordinance committee. The council has discussed it, so we've had many opportunities at it. So hearing no town council comments, we'll go ahead and close that. And I will go ahead and close the public hearing at this time, 7:05. All right, so we're on to new business.
Sorry, I'm just a little bit ahead. So, agenda item number 1 is the public hearing amendment to the ordinance. The ordinance is with you, and I'm going to turn it over to you for the action item.
Okay, so obviously we had our public hearing right before this, and now we can vote on amending the ordinance, and this is obviously has to do with the rates for the golf course. This is a recommendation by the Golf Commission, and we want to obviously include this in our budget, and hence the meeting, the reason to go ahead and change from some language that had been in our ordinance. This will change the language from the original language in the ordinance that created the Golf Commission, and also talked about budgeting at Timberland. So we can go ahead and, if we have no further comments, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to approve an ordinance amending the public golf course ordinance, Chapter 2, Part J, Section 2-184, budget schedule charges.
Thank you. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Yes, sir.
I'm not going to support this. I don't think there's unanimity on the commission.
Okay.
We heard from one person at the subcommittee here meeting, and I don't think they got their act together, so I'm not going to support it.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Any other comments?
I won't be supporting it either.
Okay. All right.
I kind of felt like some of the comments that were made subsequently by one of the golf commission members was kind of like biting the hand that's feeding them. And so no, I'm not be supporting it either.
Anyone else?
I heard those comments also, but I'm going to support it because I think most of the commission is really working for the best interest of the golf course. And I think the new commission's done a lot of good, and we got to give them a little chance to grow with it. This is going to be a one-year evaluation period, so I'm going to support it at this time.
Okay, any other comments on, yeah, remember, this is just a one-year proposal, or a one-year change to see how things go, and we'll be awaiting to hear from the Golf Commission and through the town manager as well on some other changes that we're looking at, which would be regard to budgets at the golf course, so that's a little bit of a prelude to that, but okay, so if everyone's had their comments, we'll go ahead and we have a motion on the floor, so we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 3 nays. 4 ayes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so thank you, everybody. We are now on to topic 2.
Item number 2 is to extend the option agreement for the purchase of the Knights of Columbus property for an additional 4-month term until July 31st, 2020. To give you some background, the Berlin Housing Authority reached to the council and requested a $2 million letter of intent from the town to cover the $5 million gap, and subsequently we got back to the authority and told them that the council is not going to give that letter of intent. This extension is for the purpose of for the Berlin Housing Authority to explore other options, and they've requested 4 more months to look at alternatives and come back to the council with a recommendation. Chairman Pojowski is here in case you want to make any comments.
Yeah, if you'd like to, Joe, please do.
Where you want me to stand?
I know it's,
I'll tell you what, why don't you go in between like Brendan and
The
Charlie?
monkey in the middle.
Just so that,
Okay.
just be careful in the middle.
Yes, I try not to step up. We did receive word from the council through proxies that we are not moving forward with the letter of intent. We do have a couple options left, and one of that is to solicit a private equity partner. So that partner would come to the table in some sort of a partnership arrangement with the housing authority and provide the necessary equity to fund the project and move it forward. To date, because of the coverage in the press, we've had 4 parties express interest in partnering with the housing authority. So the reason for the 4-month extension is basically so we can put together a formulary to basically evaluate these 4 proposals and decide which proposal makes the most sense from both a regulatory standpoint from the CHFA and HUD, and also from the housing authority standpoint, making sure that the numbers work and that the rent rolls from the property will allow that partnership to move forward. So that is why we're requesting the 4-month extension. If at the end of that 4-month period, or if not sooner, we do not find a viable private equity partner, then for all intents and purposes, this project is dead.
so possibly it could be before the 4 months expires.
Yeah.
If we can get it
We're
going.
looking-
I understand there are other things going on in the world now, we know it's a little bit tough,
Correct.
but I get it.
So, we're looking at putting together a formal process to evaluate so that we're comparing apples to apples instead of just having 4 different presentations. So, you know, I'm working with my consultants on coming up with a process, but we were kind of waiting to see how much time we had to work on that. But I feel confident. I mean, we've had some big names in development that have stepped forward, so I feel confident that whatever project we move forward on is going to allow us to get this project constructed.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we all know we've been working on this for a long time, and you know, obviously no one was comfortable with the previous plan between the council and the Board of Finance, so this is good. Try and move this forward and finally get it done.
Yeah.
Joe, I know you're working hard as anybody.
And the 4-month window too takes into account drafting, you know, any appropriate language for the council to review, because you'd have to sign off on whatever partner we go with, and also going through, I believe, planning and zoning, because I believe they'd have to probably sign off on it as well. So that's, you know, we're kind of looking at that time frame and figuring 4 months is going to be sufficient to do that. I put that, you know, with asterisks, because, you know, if the Planning and Zoning Commission can't schedule us, or if there's delays through the regulatory process, then we might have to extend that out a little bit.
Yeah, no, we understand. It might be subject to what is happening around us, but
Exactly. Yes.
we can, you could take all this time where everyone's sitting at home to maybe talk on the phone and get it done, right? We go. There's nothing else to do. Can't even go out and eat or have a drink, so that's all right. You just have it.
Exactly.
So anyway, okay. Any questions for Joe? No? We're good? Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, so we certainly are very familiar with this project. We've all been desperate to get it moving, so we're going to give this one last shot here, a little bit different avenue, which hopefully will be the way we end up going and get it moving. So with that said, if no other comments, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to extend the option agreement for the purchase of the Knights of Columbus property for an additional 4-month term until July 31st, 2020.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions from anyone? Hearing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 3. Thanks, Joe.
3 is a request to approve a transfer of $3,500 from the contingency in the general fund to contractual services in the Assessors Department, pending approval from the Board of Finance. The background, this is, we hired TMA a couple of years ago to go ahead and collect taxes, and the good news is they have collected more taxes, and we pay them 30% of whatever we actually collect. So this is a request to move money from the contingency to pay their fees for what they have collected.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. If there's no questions, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, excuse me, I move to approve the transfer of $3,500 from the contingency in the general fund to contractual services in the Assessors Department, pending the approval of the Board of Finance.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 4.
Item number 4 is a request to approve a transfer of $60,000 from the contingency in the general fund to the Sage 1 field improvement accounts in the Public Grounds Department, pending approval from the Board of Finance.
Okay, so this is the one that we voted through, which was $90,000, right? Was this the $90,000 one? Okay. And then it went to the Board of Finance, and they didn't like the 90, and they didn't like where it was coming from. Where were we getting the 90 from, if you would, Kevin?
Fund balance.
Oh.
They did not like taking it from fund balance. They
Okay.
wanted to move it from contingency this year.
Okay.
And the difference between the 90 and the 60 is the 90 was an estimate based on the feasibility study.
Yeah.
We've now had RFP bids come back in, and 60 is a more appropriate number based on the RFP responses and who the group intends to go with, the internal experts to go with.
So good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to approve the transfer of $60,000 from contingency in the general fund to the Sage 1 field improvements account in the Public Grounds Department, pending the approval of the Board of Finance.
second on that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Number 5.
Item number 5 is to give authorization to the town manager to retain the services of Joe Fazzi LLC to prepare bond authorization documents for bridge improvements and authorize the town manager to schedule and advertise for a public hearing to be held on April 7, 2020 at 7 p.m. on an ordinance entitled an ordinance appropriating $1 million for the athletic field improvements 2020 and authorizing the issue of $1 million bonds to the town to meet the said appropriation and pending issuance of thereof. The making of temporary borrowings of such purposes. And this is again for the softball field, Percival's soccer field, and Scully's restrooms, all combined for $1 million.
So, thoughts on this? I guess I'll just start with, I thought, and maybe I misunderstood, but I thought the 90,000 now down to 60,000 was to figure out what we're going to do and what it's going to cost. How did we all of a sudden figure out it's $1 million? Where did that figure come from? Because I never heard that before. Come on, Kevin. Step right up.
Yeah, this initiated when there was some concerns some members of the Board of Finance expressed about using fund balance for the $500,000 that would be left over to do Sage 1.
Right.
And so this became an alternative path to potentially execute that project. In looking at rates, in looking at the marketplace, and also sitting through the facilities meeting and talking with other folks, there were a couple of other health and safety matters. Percival Field, apparently when it was built, the fill underneath included a number of stumps. The stumps naturally rot. The field starts to roll off and becomes unsafe. As it does that and the dirt erodes, you also start to get pieces of the stump coming through the ground. So you not only have a rolling field, you have tripping hazards. The bathrooms at Scalise, the more conversations I've had as well as others, there is a sanitary issue around the toilets flushing, as well as the fact that it's 25 years old, and when originally installed, apparently they were used fixtures from a penitentiary. So
Historic.
this was an opportunity that if we were going to potentially have to go to the marketplace for bonding, to recognize historic low rates and try to address safety and health issues, to deal with that. I since this was drafted and since that discussion, I am, as the finance person, a little conflicted. I will tell you that our financial advisor sent an email out to everybody who is intending to issue bonds over the next few months, describing this as a combination of 9/11 and the 2008 catastrophe and worse in terms of the markets. To give perspective on what he gave, the 10-year rate, still historic lows, that's still true. On Monday of last week, it was 0.78%. So when I'm looking at drafting this bond ordinance request, you're looking at 0.75% to borrow. It's almost what you could call free money. By Friday, that number was at 1.61%. Today, the 10-year closed at 1.8%. Still extremely low rates. I mean, those are very good rates. And with a AAA bond rating, we should expect to be in that neighborhood. The issue becomes flight to safety. Obviously, we all know what's going on in the world today. And municipal bonds are safer than many other investment vehicles, certainly junk bonds, many stocks, but they're not U.S. Treasuries. And that's where we start to really see, I mean, if when the Treasury lowers the rate to 0 to lend overnight and municipal bond rates climb, it's not a great spot to be. We're intending to go to the market and sell about the second week of June with a settlement at the end of June for the bonds that we've already put out there. So assuming the world settles at least reasonably well, I'm confident the municipal market will continue to be a strong place for investors. It's a safe place relative to many other places, and our position on the balance sheet, our bond rating, our history all lead to, I believe, a very strong position in that marketplace. I still think these are health and safety issues. I worry that if the Board of Finance is not going to approve the $500,000 out of fund balance.
Well, it's interesting that we're trying to speak to the Board of Finance, we're trying to lower our amount of bonding, and they want to raise our amount of bonding. So we seem to be at odds with that. I mean, why wouldn't we take
This was my proposal. I won't say the Board of Finance proposal.
Okay.
When I brought it up at the meeting, the last budget meeting, a couple of members were very supportive.
Okay.
At least one member was not interested for that exact reason, that there was too much bonding. And the other three said, you know what, present it to the council, let's see what their thoughts are, and then we'll talk about it at our next meeting and review it.
I mean, so we're trying to cut our bonding, so if we have, it's all Tim's fault.
No,
but,
I just want to make sure it's being fair.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yes.
But, yeah. And looking at the, whatever's going on out there, which none of us, nobody has seen before apparently. I don't know, it doesn't seem like a very comfortable thing to do right now.
It seems like a very unsettled and
kind of,
volatile time to
yeah,
do something like this.
I agree.
I mean, I would prefer to hold off on this.
Yeah.
Like I said, the world, from the time this was drafted, last Monday to now, the world has changed.
Yes.
Changed already, but yeah.
I still think it's a compelling health and safety. They're compelling health and safety issues, and they need to be addressed. But I'm not sure borrowing more. The bridge work that we're planning to do, the fire engine and other stuff, we still plan to go forward with. Those are things we need to do, but this may be one that we're better off at least waiting until the world settles a little bit. The only other thing I would point out is, in order to bond, we need the ordinance. So if we don't move forward here, then we won't have the ordinance in place and won't be able to borrow in June. So we'll probably have to wait for the next borrowing cycle, which is not necessarily a terrible thing.
When's the next cycle?
We've been borrowing annually.
Okay, so next year?
Yeah.
Bond.
Right. Now, if we were to end up with a surplus, if we were to end up with something else, you could potentially look to use some of that money like we are with SAGE this year. To give you perspective on these projects, we're looking at about $150,000, we believe, to address the bathroom issues, the restroom issues at Scalise. And we're looking at $250,000 to $300,000, we believe, for Percival, which would essentially represent cutting the middle of the field, removing the stumps all of the bat, and then bringing in real fill that should have been done initially. So they're not the cheapest projects, but they're also certainly not the most expensive projects. It could be handled in alternative ways. Like I said, I'm somewhat conflicted even standing tonight, because they are legitimate health and safety issues for the kids who are on there, for the people who use the restrooms. But the world's just a different place than even last Monday.
The restrooms would be what, 150? 150?
We're estimating 100 to 150. We have to basically put the camera down, snake through the pipes, and find out why there's an issue with the plumbing.
And 200 to 300,000 for Percival?
Probably 250 to 300.
And this is probably directed at Jeff. Do we make this permissive, that we have this, and if the rates just drop to zero, could then he then go out?
Other public agencies, our representative done that, given the CFO, finance director in this case, some parameters within which he can go to market. So that way he can act quickly if the opportunity presents itself. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and the consensus seems to be that we really don't know when things are going to calm down. So you may he may be better off waiting, but the answer to your question is yes, you can give him some parameters.
So if we
Rates.
said, if we amend this to say if it drops to .5, .05, whatever, then he can just go ahead with it? I mean, wouldn't that be proven, I mean...
Keep in mind, we
what's gonna
won't
happen
know
tomorrow?
we won't know the rate we get because it's always a competitive offering.
Right.
We will know the rate in the marketplace, but our rate could be better or worse than that. And they could do the rate. There's two ways that they've approached it, and we've seen it I've seen it both ways. One is offering a low rate and basically giving us a very low rate that lasts for, let's just say, the 10 years of the bonds. The other is to give us more of a standard rate, 2 to 4% range, higher than where you would expect these benchmarks to be. And then they essentially give us premium. They just give us more money that effectively buys it down. And what's really happening is when somebody's underwriting that way, they're selling this to pension funds, insurance companies, and they're looking for cash flow to match the liabilities that they have. So they may be holding a big pile of money, but they want a return that matches the liability, what they're going to pay out over time. So they're willing to say, hey, the interest rate's going to be a little higher over the next 10 years, so it matches my payouts. But in exchange, I've got more money than I need today, so I'll give you some more money. That's what we've been talking about, money for the wash bay. Last year, $6 million of bonds, we received $458,000 in bond premium. We're paying 2 to 4% for those bonds, but they gave us almost $500,000 more than we asked for.
But wouldn't those people who took advantage of that low rate of .0 whatever be interested in picking these up for a reasonable price? I just hate to make the kids wait another year. That's what I'm trying to work here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I mean, the amount, just to be bonding more money right now, where we're headed, nobody knows. I don't know if it's the time to bond more money. I don't think it's a good thing, but certainly the project is very worthwhile. But if we have some surplus at the end of this year, which it certainly looks like we're going to, and we could take a little bit out of fund balance too, maybe, or whatever's left, I'd much rather pay for it as we go than incur more liability on the town that we've already, now, who knows where the financial situation's going for the world, but.
May I share something?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll recognize this from...
I don't know, Peter, I'm with you, I don't know, I want to do it, but I'm...
I actually tried to put it in a larger font. This is the same chart that you have in your budget binders, except updated to include the additional $1 million.
Okay, Peter, we'll do it if, he's out in the parking lot waiting for us, we'll do it, don't worry, no problem, Godfather, it's okay.
Even if I include the $1 million,
Yep.
if you look on the far right column, change in debt,
Far right, okay, yeah,
we are still declining each year. Now,
okay, the change right there, okay,
right,
yeah,
this would have been, from perspective of the binder, when we were going through it in the meeting, this would be page 3. So the third chart that I given like this.
okay,
It shows you your current debt picture and then your future debt picture. Your numbers on the left, the general obligation bonds are a little bit higher for the next 10 years, but even doing this bonding, you will continue to see the debt level go down. That doesn't mean your debt service will go down, so the annual payment of debt doesn't necessarily decline. But the overall outstanding debt will continue to decline, whether you do this additional $1 million of bonding or not. So just to give some perspective, we are continuing, either way, we are continuing down the path of retiring more than we're borrowing and continuing to bend the absolute amount of debt outstanding is still coming down either way.
okay. Well, I mean, this is just to hold the public hearing, right?
And this would just be an ordinance. This does not mean it has to be borrowed. It's
Yeah, I
borrowing
got you.
authority. It doesn't mean it's a we actually have to.
Right.
What's the, if I can just ask, what's the drop-down date that we would have to know if we wanted to bond in order to make this happen? I mean, a lot can happen over the next 2 months.
Exactly.
So maybe we can come up with more money internally as opposed to going out and borrowing more money.
Yep.
So when would we have to know what we were doing? Can we put this off a little bit and see what happens, or you?
Not the ordinance.
Okay.
The decision, yes. The final decision is, that's going to be mid to late May, because we need to go out and market with a sale around, if we're going to do it June 28th as a settlement date approximately, you're going to talk 2 weeks before that would be the sale date. So that's when they buy it, and then you have 2 weeks to settle. Typically, we are marketing 2 to 4 weeks before that. Our financial advisors in the marketplace marketing the community. Technically, up until the sale date, we could change. And there are communities that have. There are people who were going out to sell last week may have made the decision not to. But again, even at 1.6% last Friday or 1.8% today, those are still historic low rates. There's still a very favorable market, just not nearly as favorable.
Yes, yeah.
I have no problem scheduling the hearing.
Yep.
I know we don't have enough information to make a real decision on what's going to happen in the next month or two.
That's for sure.
But I agree with Peter that this is a needed project. I think we should at least move forward with the hearing and see where we are in a couple of weeks. I don't have a
Doesn't
problem
hold
with
us
that.
to anything.
Yeah, I think that-
We're not locked in from what I'm understanding.
Even if you approve the ordinance, and just for logistics, because most people won't know this, there's 4 people who have to sign anytime we issue debt. At least 3 of those 4 have to sign. Those are myself, the town manager, the treasurer, and the mayor. So we are always, when we get to the point where this is what we're going to do, I send an email out so everybody's on the same page and basically say, if you want to change it, this is our chance to change it now. So everybody would have to know and agree.
But at least we'll have the ball in motion.
Ourselves
That's right.
in place.
So we got time to
That's a
see
good
what
idea.
develops in the world, you know? Yeah, so, okay, so everybody, we'll go ahead and go forward with the public hearing, the schedule. Okay, so we're on the same page on that, right? Good. All right, let's go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to authorize the town manager to retain the services of Joseph Fossey LLC to prepare bond authorization documents for bridge improvements, and authorize the town manager to schedule and advertise for a public hearing to be held on April 7th, 2020 at 7 p.m. An ordinance entitled An Ordinance Appropriating $1 million for Athletic Facility Improvements in 2020, and authorize the issue of $1 million in bonds to the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. To be determined, obviously. All right, so we have some appointments. We have, going to take a nominate.
Okay, for the cemetery committee, I'll nominate Lisa Brown.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, welcome to the cemetery. Berlin Housing Authority.
Housing Authority, I'll nominate James McDermott.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. All those in favor, Mr. McDermott?
Aye.
Okay, welcome. And Park and Rec.
Recs, I'll nominate Anthony Betremus.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor? Close the nominations, I'm sorry, and then all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so where are we at? We are to our town manager's report. Moving rapidly. It's good.
We have two updates for you, and one that I want to talk first is just a discussion. Chris Edge and I, we have been meeting with the parties and hand this out to you, who's interested in a tax abatement request. And I'm not asking for approval here. I want to share this with you and sort of get your direction on it. Give you a couple of minutes to.
Well, so while we're looking at this,
Yes, sir.
could we, I think probably on most of our minds, just talk a little bit about our lead off with
You want to come back to this later?
yeah, let's just lead off on the on the virus situation and
Going on?
yeah, nothing's going on. And you know, we've obviously been communicating, we've all been communicating, we see direction on the town website, but just so we can all be on the same page and see if there's anything else we can come up with.
Let me jump to where we are today. As of today,
The Berlin Peck Library, Community Center, Senior Center, earlier during the week, are all closed. Effective tomorrow, the town hall will be closed to the public. But all staff are required to report to work, so we will be available to the public via phone and through email to conduct business. We have notified all staff. We have reached out. The information is on our website. We have also used the town's Facebook page. We have also used the Everbridge emergency notification system, which goes to about 13 to 14,000 residents and businesses who have signed up. I don't know, have any of you signed up for that?
Yeah,
I get it.
today was a test, right? Was it a test?
Yeah, after the test, there should have been something else. But if you didn't, let me know so I can follow up on that.
I got something
I got
this
the
morning.
test, but I don't think anything came out.
So let me know if you didn't get anything else, because that's important to find out if it actually worked. And some people said they got it, others I don't know. And then also we have reached out to the 3 newspapers, the Berlin Citizen, New Britain Herald, and the New Britain Journal. Yes, Journal. To get the information out to the public in terms of the town closing and how they can reach out to the town staff for business. So as all of you know, it's a very fluid situation. This is today, tomorrow morning it could change. In the meantime, we have asked all our department heads to think about contingency planning. And that is to say, if we are to move into a phase with flex schedules, how to accommodate. The reason for that is some of the parents are experiencing daycare or school closings and the kids at home, and some parents have to take time off to be with their children. So we want to think about how to accommodate that, and some of it is happening already. We also want to think about operating with a skeleton crew if we have to, and that could trigger at any point that we decide. For right now, we have limited conversations with some of the department heads, and they feel that all of us can be here for now. And then the third, or the fourth, there's a fourth. The third one might be that if we have to close the town for whatever reason, if the governor or there's a state of emergency and if there's a mandate to close, we still would have to think about how to provide essential services to the town, and also have the flexibility some of the units to work from home. So for example, payroll, accounts payable, getting bills paid, certain things can be done from home, but not all services can be provided from home. Any questions so far?
No, just one. So obviously no reported cases in town that we know of, right?
that I know of.
No. Or in the area, right? I don't think I've heard of any. Rocky Hill's the closest one, right? That's right, yeah.
There's been some in Britain too.
Okay. In Harper County? 4 in Harper County, okay. But not in town, yeah, that we know of, right?
In terms of the running of the government, I've reached out to all the board chairs, chairs of commissions and boards, to say that unless you have something critical, time sensitive, I'm requesting that they cancel their meetings, and which most of them have done, and those cancellations are going on our website. And if they have to meet for whatever reason, we are strongly encouraging them to meet via teleconference, and ask them to contact us so that we can arrange that for them. There is no need for the public to gather for these meetings. That requirement was waived or suspended for now. So we could announce it publicly 24 hours before, give everyone a call-in number, and put it on the town website, and notify the public that the meeting is taking place. For now, I think most of the tomorrow's Board of Finance meeting is taking place right here in person, because they want to actually get to the budget and try to come up with a recommendation. But the Golf Commission, for example, Cemetery Commission, and I think Planning and Zoning as well, they're going to cancel this week's meeting. Police Commission, thank you. They were scheduled to meet tomorrow, and we had an agenda item for their space, so they'll think they can wait. BAA, for example, canceled the meeting yesterday, and they have rescheduled all their meetings for the following week. And what they plan to do is they have reached out to the people who are actually asked to appear, and they will be providing the information beforehand, and they would arrange a conference call with the BA members as well as the residents who are appealing. So that can be handled next week, but they all have an allocated time that will arrange it through a conference call. So that could happen.
That's great. That's good. So government's continuing. That's good for now. And there's been no interruption in any services or anything at the moment?
No.
Other than, I mean, some of the closings, understandable, those services. So I'm sure all of us have the same concern, a couple things to, we don't know where we're all headed, but, and I know the senior center is doing this, but reaching out to certainly our most vulnerable population, the seniors, or anybody in town that needs assistance from Doug or Tina. So just to, I'm sure with the meals not being provided, I know we're trying to take care of the people that we know of. So
first of all, I want to make sure that when I send emails, all of you get it, you look at it. So you mentioned you had a problem with your email. Then I want to find the best way to communicate, because when I get these notifications about the senior center and what we are doing, I send it to everyone so that you won't find out in the newspaper or in the parking lot what somebody else is saying.
Yeah.
So you having a difficult time.
Can you just send it to my personal email if I give you that?
We're encouraged not to do that because FOIA requires.
I'll try to get mine working again.
Why don't we try to connect with Charles tomorrow with Cindy and see if we can get it going for whatever. You said it works and then it stops in about 2 weeks.
It works for about 2 weeks. It's been that way for a year.
Yeah, he's had trouble with that. I don't know what that
So.
I've blown mine up a few times, but it's working now.
So this Everbright thing, so if we want to get notified if it's an immediate emergency. So today we got this notification system test, and please confirm receipt, which I did. That's all I got. It was a test. There was no other information to follow. At least it would come in a text form, I assume, after, right?
That's how everybody signed up for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Signed up through voice, so
But was there other information? Nothing came out today, but the test.
I received it.
The test.
you received
Yeah.
the text.
Yeah.
I received the information.
Oh, so I didn't get anything other than I confirm yes that I got to confirm
We'll
receipt.
check on it.
All right, so if you could check, and if anyone I don't know if you all signed up for it.
I didn't get it.
So,
You signed up for it, right?
so I thought we all did the other last year, Peter, but,
Yeah.
right?
We can
So you didn't get
check.
anything. So we got to check.
Yeah.
So we got to check on that.
Yeah.
And then make sure, Joanne, if you didn't sign up, Mike.
I didn't get it.
I didn't
All
get
right,
anything.
you didn't get the test, so
I
you were
received
not
a
on
phone
it.
message at home.
You did?
Different though.
That's
Okay.
On the
different.
hard line,
Yeah, that's different.
And what did the message say?
could the town hall be closed?
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
For additional information, go to the website, something like that? Okay, so it's working for some, so I'll find out.
I think I got
why
a
it's not
phone call
working.
too, but I thought it was still the test.
You didn't, never signed up.
I don't know if I did or not.
You
I don't think I
did.
did.
You'll know if you signed up.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
All right.
I don't know if
That's Everbridge is what we use to communicate with the town's residents and the businesses. It's an emergency notification system that a lot of people have signed up. We'll send it to you.
You got a phone call? Yeah, but the phone call was just a test too, right? I thought it said?
No, it said that the
Town hall was closed? Did
town
it say
hall's
that?
gonna
Okay,
close
maybe
tomorrow
it did
and
say that.
Yeah.
So the test
Senior
came,
center's closed.
the test came by text, and then the phone call had the message?
Yeah.
Can we-
Roll call.
Can we do
Not necessarily. We'll
No.
look into it, Mayor.
Okay, just
I
both?
got a text at 2:23.
Okay,
All right, so
Yeah.
we'll just double check to
yeah, just see,
what happened. It comes out from emergency management.
yeah, right.
I got a home phone call, that's all I got.
Oh, so you got a message at what time?
2:23.
Okay, so 11:15 was the test, and then maybe, I think I did get a phone call, Peter, so I don't know if we could get a text too with the message, but might be better to get a text message, right, with the information, so if we don't quite pick up that phone.
Right.
Or we don't get a
And I
message.
have also been sending you all the stuff about Board of Education.
Yeah, that, we're getting, yeah, that's in our,
And that goes to all the emails.
yeah, that we're
I
getting.
don't think you received that.
Otherwise, right? Nobody else is telling you. You do because you're,
4 months.
okay. So since sort of the board is running independently of the town, so whenever I get information, I'll forward it to you about the meals program and what they're doing.
As it stands now, though, they're providing breakfast and lunch
To
to the students.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right?
Monday, Friday.
Yeah,
And you grab 2 meals.
That's,
Right.
yeah. And then for the seniors, they are continuing to do the run with the doctor's visits, groceries, that Tina is helping out
Meals.
with their
People,
meals. Yeah. All that is happening and,
And how about Doug, any other, I'm sure whatever social service?
so the food pantry is still functioning,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Jamie's working with the folks who are signed up for the food pantry to have assigned time for them to come in through the back door, and they're going to stay in the car, and items will be delivered to them. They don't get off the car. So that is continuing, and then also on a positive note, folks have reached out to the senior center and asked if they can donate food to those in need. I think that's very tell us a lot about the community who's coming together to help people out. So we're going to try to have a system where they can come and drop off their food as well, because you can always take food from the pantry.
And I know Tina's still there with a couple of staffs.
Yeah,
And
so-
if you wanted to drop off or donate, they would just call her.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how about, I assume this is in Doug's, well, maybe Doug and Tina, as hopefully this doesn't last too long, but if it does, financial assistance through social service program or through Doug or through whatever programs are available. I mean, I'm sure
We have some
people,
information on the website, on the
Okay.
breaking news, on the food pantry there.
okay,
And that will be, again, it's fluid.
Yeah.
But if people can donate to the food pantry,
Okay.
I'm sure that
that's kind of
they
what,
would appreciate it.
okay, all right. But I mean, if residents need, so they would, I mean, hopefully they know, if they need some kind of financial assistance, let's say this goes long and they can't meet a mortgage payment, or God, I don't know, I don't know if there's anything town can do, but if there is, I would assume Doug would be the
Yes.
contact for that.
So currently, so that people know, because you guys all got the link, I'm sure. But under breaking news right now, we have where the notice of the closure of the town hall to the public, immediate staff that people deal with all the time, all the different department numbers, and then we have a link for the food pantry, and that has right now Jamie Miller's phone number, and then also Tina Doyle's. And also in that little blurb, there is Jan Luntz with Animal Control in case you need food for your pets.
Yeah, so that.
Okay, so yeah, I figured, just so the public.
Could you, on that breaking news, I was looking at it earlier, just somehow in that header, just say COVID-19 info, or just because I think some people may not pull that off of being, just so they can find
Read
it.
that first thing.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that, coming from the outside here, I'm realizing that communication is a challenge in this community. People are used to, the senior center folks, they rely on Tina to get further message, and the library folks rely on Helen, and that's all they look at. Same with the community center, look at the Facebook page. There's no one way of communicating to everyone, and residents rely on Everbridge. So one of the things that we are trying to do is, on the breaking news, those who can direct people to the website so they will have the most up-to-date information on everything with links to all the different departments. It is going to be a challenge to try and navigate 12 different ways of communicating to everyone. I mean, ideally you want to get to a point that you have, as a town manager, I don't even have a way of just sending an email to all the town staff. It just...
Really?
Yes, it just,
What?
it'll get fixed.
Okay, I was going to say,
It's
what?
manually,
set up in your trustee's email, and it's going to change tomorrow. So that, if I want to communicate to the town staff, I should be able to 12 o'clock in the night send something out without having to go through two different people, right? So it's just the way it is, but this is a good opportunity for us to try and streamline some of those processes
Can we also
that we have.
get stuff, maybe something in the citizen?
It is.
Yeah,
Are we
there
put-
is.
Is there something in there?
You said you were going to put some.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to have, do something on the center of town and the sign if you want. I mean, it's not electronic yet, but I can have our staff go and change that and maybe put the town's website. I mean, what would you suggest?
I think hopefully the website would have either Facebook or website. I have those two links. If you want to call
I mean,
me
if it's
tomorrow.
short enough that I can, you want to shoot me an email or text me?
Yep.
Then I can have staff get out there and put something up there.
Yep.
I mean, it's better than pancake breakfast being canceled from last week.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to do
I
it.
mean, it may reach somebody that we're not reaching in some other way, so.
And hence the citizen too, that if some people are not going on the website.
The reporters were told about it today.
Okay.
They all received the same emails that you did about the breaking news on the website, and they got all the information.
Good. All right. Well, yeah.
I know every year we ask the staff to do more with less. We give less money and put more on them, and now's not the time to do that. I mean, that we're behind them. Whatever they need, they can ask the council or ask other members of the community, and we'll try to make it happen. But we need their vision, their cue on what we should do. We don't want to jump in and get in their way. And maybe it's time to think out of the box. Maybe the school vans need to deliver the meals, or I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, but we really appreciate what they're doing, and we want to help them any way we can.
Yes, if there's anything more you think we need to do, or finance-wise as well, I think we're all willing to kick in as the council to vote if you need financing for something, or something else comes up.
so for right now,
We've been having conversation with the Board of Ed, and our goal here is to keep the staff home. So Board of Ed, for example, they closed, the schools are closed, people are getting paid now, right? The para-professionals and the crossing guards and others, they're going to get paid, but half the amount. The reason for that is the school year might get extended beyond. So if it closed at the scheduled time, if they're utilizing only what's in the budget already, it's not an issue. But if we see that we need to go over to make people whole, we will obviously be coming back to you and also the Board of Finance, I would think, to ask for additional funding. But I spoke with Denise today, and she feels as of this point there's no need to ask for it. But we are informing you because we don't know where things are going to go. If they extend the school beyond the normal school's calendar, and if there's a need for us to make payments for certain individuals, we'll be coming to you. And I don't think it's going to be a huge amount, but it'll make a big difference in people's lives. Times like this, because they are not staying at home because they want to. They've been asked to stay at home.
No doubt. It's trying times, no question.
Kevin, anything you want to add on the finance end that we might need right now?
No, I mean, the only thing I will say is we're finally coming into that window. The last 3 months, we now have an opportunity by charter to transfer between departments. So we will start coming to you with the meeting, assuming you're meeting on April 7th. Some of those are just natural year-end cleanups. Things don't go always as planned. And we do everything we can to move between departments where we have some favorability in one and overage in others. So to your point, Charlie, there may be things in particular departments like social services or senior center that we may be able to move because of position vacancies or something, and we would just ask for your support on those moves.
And, I would urge all of us, unless, again, we don't know what's going to happen between now and April 7th. Hopefully it's a good thing and not a bad thing, that direction goes in a good way. But that we do have our council meeting, because, in times like this, like the government or hate the government, federal, state, or local, doesn't matter. We're here to help the people and take care of our town, certainly here in Berlin. And that's what we have our most control over, right? So I would urge, we have the meeting, even if it's by phone, we'll determine, right? We can determine between all of us if we want to show up, that's great. If we don't, we can all do it by phone too, if we feel comfortable, right? So, because I just, I don't want to get so far behind with things, because things need to get done, and to protect our town and to keep it moving, even in a crisis, it needs to get done, so.
So we will have to talk at some point about, we already canceled budget presentation at the senior center. As of now, the other one is still scheduled, and Kevin, we plan to have it here, right?
Plan to have it in this room and use Facebook Live to allow people live. It would just be the Board of Finance, representative from the Board of Ed, the town manager, and then put it out on Facebook Live so people would have an opportunity to look online for the material and ask questions through Facebook if they want to.
That's March 31st?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, March 31st.
Yeah, so that's probably a good idea for that.
We also want to, just one more thing, just since the restaurants in the town, most of them are still open, so we got a list out to about 26 of them, and asking town people, we're forwarding it to asking them to forward their friends and family and others, that they're open. If you can, take out, help whatever you can, let's try to help them out, because they're going to suffer. They're going to struggle in the long run. So we're encouraging people to go order food, get your lunch there, or dinner, tell your friends to go there, take out, help them.
I would think as people are home with their kids for a long time, they'll want to go out and pick up some food. Maybe it might be a good thing not to have to cook every minute of the day. And and then remember I mentioned, somebody asked me about barbershops, beauty salons. Was there any guidance from the state on that, or did anybody?
I haven't seen anything.
Have you heard anything, Jeff, about? There was somebody who was telling me there's some confusion on. They thought the town said they're closed, they're open, but we didn't put anything out specifically about that. Nor did the state, right?
I think it's an outside
state. I don't know if it's Connecticut
okay, maybe that's what they're getting.
or outside or something.
Oh, yes.
The state issued a directive basically to adhere to local health district recommendations that urged all.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
It's Bristol Burlington Health District. Is it Bristol Burlington?
No,
Health
the state.
District it's closed.
Yeah, I think Bristol and Burlington did.
It was Bristol. Thank you, Joe. So it was done with The state asked that you do it with the health
Basically, the
district.
Department of Health issued a memo today to all nail salons, hairdressers, massage, therapeutic massage, any kind of thing that licensed through the state health department, basically telling them that they should adhere to the recommendations of their local health districts. However, they urge them to close.
Oh, okay, so maybe that's where people heard that today, now they're confused.
Yes, so the state's urging those establishments to close, but they're leaving it up to the local health districts to make recommendations.
Reach out to Charlotte, health district. I haven't heard anything from him about it.
Okay. Yeah, can we put out like a consistent message to, on the website?
Let's find out.
Just to make sure people know.
So the other one,
You have something else, Joe?
Oh, just from the housing authority standpoint,
Yes.
If you're in communication with the health district, if we get any tenants that get tested positive, we've contracted with ServPro to do any sanitizing, biological cleaning with respect to our properties. So if we could be just notified, of whoever gets tested, so we could take the necessary steps. We did bring on a cleaning contractor to enhance our daily cleaning, but this would be over and above that. So.
That's good, that's great, okay, that's great to hear, so, all right.
So the other one that we want to talk about, I'll have Kate elaborate on this a little bit, about referendum and elections.
Yes.
It's coming up, you need to plan for it so that it won't end up like Ohio, probably.
Yeah.
We had a conference call today with the town clerks and the Secretary of State's office and register of voters for a little over an hour, about an hour and a half. Right now, they are going ahead with the primaries, and part of it is they don't know if they move it out, if it could even be worse. So having at the end of April, the possibility is that they move it out to May. May could be even a worse month for everybody. They are in communication with other Secretary of State's, federal agencies, with the Homeland Security, with everybody that they need to be in touch with. I would say at this point we're going to do the best we can. A little bit of a different issue in Berlin is the fact that we also have our budget referendum that day. So I would encourage people, if they have any interest in working at the polls, or if they know somebody who would be willing to work at the polls, to please give either the Register of Voters a call, or you can call my office and I'll relay the message. But they can consolidate some of the poll workers, but there's issues as far as there still has to be some separations.
What's the exact date, Kate?
It's April 28th. So it's the two presidential primaries and the budget referendum.
What is it, 28th? What was the day? 28th. Yeah, that's our first budget referendum, right?
I hope the only one.
Let's hope. Let's hope, but hope for the best, plan for the worst. We'll see, right?
So just thinking out loud here, we talk about this internally. There is a provision, right, to extend these by 30 days.
Any deadlines that fall prior to May 15th can be extended 30 days.
Okay.
My thinking is it's not going to get any better probably in 2 weeks or 30 days, and if you can keep things going and get the budget moved forward, get it to the council, try to stick to the agenda. Earlier the better, but I'm afraid that if you wait till May, June and things get out of hand, I hate to be in a situation in July where we don't have a budget, right? So again, I ask all of your patience and indulgence and to be fluid with this. We talk about this, by the time you get out, things might change and you might get something else tomorrow morning. None of us know where things are going, but my preference is to try and keep the town operating and get the business done on schedule to the best of our ability.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, right, we gotta keep the town moving. Have to. Otherwise, it's only that much worse than things we've had.
So any questions or any advice you have for the town, for me, the town staff, others, as we go through this?
Just to clarify, you were saying that all town staff is reporting to town hall right now, but you're going to work on paring down the staff so that there's not many people working.
If we get to that point, right. I mean, department heads have been asked to think through that so that they have a contingency plan to manage it. Because every office will be different, so there are some offices with only one person. So we have an IT department and one person been out for almost 4 months now. And says one person managing, so there won't be a flex schedule for that person, there's only one. So public works will be different, and tomorrow I'm also meeting with the union representatives to make sure that we can talk about cross-training and doing things that are outside of the contract during this period, so that we can be, I'm sure reasonable minds will come to some kind of an agreement, but this is a time for us to put our heads together and try to be creative to keep their business going, because sometimes you might not have the skill sets or the person assigned for that particular job available, and if it happens, we want somebody able to go and do that so that we can provide the services to the residents and the businesses. You hear a lot that governor and the national level asking people to just work from home. That's not easy for a government or a 24/7 operation. Some people can do it. Even within town hall, there are some folks who can work from home, but there are certain things that we do. You have to be here physically to do that.
Like you said the other day, one size does not.
No, it doesn't. So my job is to work with the department heads to try to accommodate that, and I'm relying on them, because the people who work in public works or the town planner and the building and the finance folks, they have the expertise and they know how to get things done, and I'll work with them to be flexible and fluid in terms of what needs to get done. Because I can't tell you today that we're going to do this for the whole town. It's not going to work that way. It's not a regular 9-to-5 operation.
And I assume Public Works is out there doing their thing, obviously.
Yeah.
At least they're outside and away from.
Yeah. Interestingly, folks like that in public works and buildings and hunting ground, they're happier to be outside.
Yeah, right.
Just not around too many people and contained areas like this.
Yeah, that's true. And, I think obviously as well, feel the same way that, nothing, it's a time people are afraid. It's a fearful time. It's not a good time, but I think nothing gives people the confidence that the government keeps ongoing and they see services are being provided despite, some closures. They all understand that, but I think it's even worse if we let things certainly fall apart, which is not the job of our local government here, state or federal. So as we keep moving forward and help the people that need help.
Yep.
Anything else, folks? What do you think? We covered everything on this? You guys comfortable with everything?
Yep.
And thanks for keeping us informed, and I know thanks to all of our town employees for staying on the job. Okay. We sidetracked you, Roche, I'm sorry, but I know that was first on everybody's mind, so we got through that. So
again, just want to get into this handout that I provided you, just to get your reaction to it. So again, not asking for your approval. This individual is planning probably a $13 to $15 million project on the Berlin Turnpike misuse project with commercial as well as residential, and have reached out to the town, and the Director of Economic Development, Mayor, and I met with this gentleman, and obviously the request is has been very aggressive in terms of the abatement that is asked for. Like the first one was a non-starter, in terms of asking for an abatement of pretty much 100% for 10 years, and we didn't even take the call. But the one that he has requested is for a 10-year period. So what you see is residential and commercial broken out separately, asking for an abatement of 70 for 3 years, 60% abatement for 3, 50 for another 3, and 40% for the last 2. We have never given abatement for residential properties. And she has asked the same for the residential, and we have said no. We gave a counter proposal, which was 50, 40, 30, 20, and 10 for 5 years, which was not palatable to him. So one of the things we said we would, this is going at the same time to the Economic Development Commission for their input as well. And one of the things that we have told that we'll come back to you with some kind of a counter proposal, and what we are thinking right now, there are 2 scenarios here in residential. One is to give the 50, 50, 40, 30, 20 that you see on the first yellow box for a 10-year period, or a 5-year period, a 70, 60, 50, 40. And what you would give in abatement, I'm looking at the first box here on the top, for 10 years would be 845 or a 693. Again, these are hypothetical numbers based on $12 to $15 million range. And on the commercial one stays the same, 430. It's not the big one, and it tells you what the total abatement might be and net taxes to the town. And the second one is, if you look at it over a 10-year period, what the town might get or give out in abatement and also get in terms of taxes during a 20-year period. This assumes the commercial building is in a base of $2 million, and then the tax base at $8 million for the residential properties. So I just want to get your reaction to it. This is something that we haven't done before. We have not agreed to do this, but it's a big project, and we think we should give something, but I'm fairly comfortable with the commercial, but the residential one is the first time we are doing anything like that. So.
Is there any quantification on how many units and what it will cost the town to absorb those units while we're giving this abatement?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done that. I mean, it's going to be apartments, so there'll be an increase in police services, I would think, right?
Is there any way to kind of gauge so we're at least covering our costs on it?
Yeah, I mean, we could do some estimates and some numbers on that to see what kind of impact would have.
That would be helpful for my decision.
Okay.
Do we want to set this precedent?
Maybe not, but we can look at it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go backwards, that's for sure.
Well, no, of course not.
Yeah. So that's a good question, that once you do this, others will expect the same. And there are a couple of other projects that are in the pipeline, and people have not asked for abatement. If you go online and look at what other towns have done, it is all over the lot. I mean, there are some, you can see this in public information, some have given pretty much 100% for 10 years. I don't know.
Residential?
Commercial.
Commercial?
Yeah.
100%?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's a little
like, yeah.
A bit much.
I wouldn't advise any town to do that, but this is what towns are doing. And again, this particular gentleman is aggressive in terms of, if you don't, I'll go take my toys and go play somewhere else. So at some time.
Yeah, I see 2 to 4 other projects elsewhere. Do we know where? Do we know what?
In Berlin, you mean?
He says yes, that they may have 2 to 4 other projects.
Well, talking about neighboring towns. But now, he has a good reputation of doing good projects. He already has a project here with the Acura dealer, and has done some in North Haven. He does good work. He bargains. He's aggressive in terms of what he wants to do. So I'm just introducing this to you to get your reaction to it.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking that historically we've always done 3 years. And I think there's state ordinance holds we go to 7. And I think we've only done one project in the last few years that went to 7. And I don't know if we want to go more than that.
Okay.
But that was for commercial property.
Yeah, we have, from what I
want to think about that.
understand, we have no.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't, it's, I mean, to me, the system, whether it's towns fighting for commercial development or the states, right? We've heard this argument how many times, trying to give tax breaks so businesses move to Connecticut or move to Berlin. It's kind of the system that we're in. I don't think it's a good system, but on the other hand, sometimes if you just say, well, we're not giving anybody a break, or we're not going to match some breaks of other towns, then we don't get the business. I mean, I think this is probably the biggest project that has come on the Turnpike in many, many, many years, and that's what the residents always, I think all of us get that question on the council, when are you going to develop the Turnpike? We've heard that forever. We've developed a ton on the Turnpike, and there's obviously some more to do. And he wants to go further, actually further down, and develop some other properties there as well. So it's a tough decision. I mean, it's kind of the system we're in to encourage them to come to our town, or to our, just like you do to the state. And I don't know. I mean, we should tread cautiously, no doubt about it, because we set a precedent, then we're kind of stuck with the precedent. But on the other hand, it's a $15 million investment in the town. That's certainly quite an impressive investment, and judging by the building the Acura dealership, he did a first-class job, and I know he has a good reputation, I believe, Jeff, and other communities. So I don't know, but certainly open for some more discussion.
I think it's, I agree with Charlie. I think if we can see some numbers on what it would actually cost us as a community to do something like this, and perhaps try to minimize the length of time.
Yeah, time factor
I'd rather
is not interested in
like
anything less than 10.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, we've had.
This is not, we've gone like 3 rounds.
We've had a bunch of discussions with him. He's difficult sometimes. He wants what he wants, as any developer does. We know that. And we have to protect the town's interests, no question about it. But if you look at the end, there is more tax revenue at the end of the rainbow, so.
I'd rather see it on this side of the pike than the other side.
We don't want to move into another town, not that he will, but, I mean, that's always the implied, information we get. But again, that is a lot of taxes down the road. Obviously, 10 years is a long time, but it comes and goes probably fairly quickly, and then we have some more revenue, which, every town needs, so. I don't know.
I'm sorry, Arosh or Jeff, or whoever can answer this. There are other towns that do residential abatements?
Yes, yeah. Chris found 2 or 3 others that did some. It's all over the lot. I mean, we were looking at it.
Yeah, I think just everyone's kind of different, There's no real, if there was more of a footprint, we'd follow it, but it's whatever the towns, I'm sure how desperate some are, or how much they want that development or don't, or whatever. Yeah, it's a tough, it's not easy. I agree. I mean, we've been trying to, wrestle with this for a while, and, trying to be fair for Mr. Orsini as well as the town, obviously. And he's, we've told him, look, we got to protect the town interests, but we also want your development. So it's a difficult decision, no question. So. What do you think, Arosh? Would it let it digest a little bit here?
Digest a little bit, and also
we haven't reached out to him. I don't know if he's going to accept that. Even if he does, we could throw him an offer and come back and go through other channels, economic development as well as the council. You can always reject it, but I'd like to keep him engaged so that.
How do we leave it with him now? How have we left it?
We said we'll just, because after our second proposal, we said we'll work some different set of numbers.
That's right.
Yeah, the initial one, we gave him 0, and that didn't get any traction at all with the residential. So we gave a 50, 40, 30, 20, and he was looking for 10 years. So we thought if you want to do a 10, we'll do at a different rate. Or if he wants his rate, we'll give you a shorter duration. That's why you have scenario 1 and 2. So, I mean, if we could, pitch this to him, and if he says, okay, we are comfortable, we'll tell him we can go back to the council and others and get approvals.
When is he next meeting with the EDC?
No, I don't know when the next meeting is. He's
Right.
I don't think he's gonna, I think he's done with them.
At the beginning of the month.
I don't know if he's going there. I think he's waiting. He's waiting to hear, hence it's before all of us here. We gotta, how we left it was to get back to him with something different. And this is the something different that we came up with. And, I mean, like I say, it's certainly more palatable than the first 2 scenarios, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the net taxes to the town, it's a significant improvement to protect, the town and our residents and be fair to our residents that we get some taxes to run our community, and seems pretty attractive to Mr. Orsini too. I mean, from my perspective, obviously Mr. Orsini has his own thoughts, but he hasn't seen this yet. So, we've gone back and forth, so we probably need to get back to him with something. Other communities have done it. I mean, my personal opinion is I'm inclined to make that offer and see what happens. No harm can come of that, obviously.
No, it'd be great to have another project like this in town.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great project. I think he's going to do a great job. And again, he wants to continue. He wants to move a little bit further down the turnpike as well, and perhaps acquire some other properties and do some more development. So, and this will include obviously some more commercial as well. Obviously, you see that. So,
Roche, would it be crazy to at least counter with something in the middle? I mean, the most we've done is 7 years. Maybe we show what 7 years is to match the most we've gone so far.
Most we have gone with commercial.
Yeah.
You said he wouldn't look at anything less than 10.
but what did he say? He wouldn't do less than 10?
No.
10?
Right, so.
And the commercial, I mean, it's giving him some abatement, but that's not where the big money is. It's in the residential. So he's been asking for the big one on the residential, which we are not willing to give. So.
Because we've never done residential before, right?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
But again, the economic climate is such before the situation we're in. Before that, I mean, the economic climate, Connecticut, development-wise, is not the best. Berlin's been lucky to be doing very good, and so.
We don't know what's going to happen in the next few months.
Well, yeah, that's certainly another issue, but.
I say do it, go for it.
Yeah. Tell me, yeah.
Again, it's informal, we'll bring a formal proposal later.
Yeah, it's just informal. We're not gonna, yeah.
Charles, to your point, I'll try to estimate some, based on number of units.
We're going to rebate 3,000 per unit per year, and it costs us 5,000 to support them. No,
Yeah.
but if we reverse maybe.
It's a good idea.
Makes sense.
That's a good idea. Yeah, just another way of looking at it, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you can we can kind of break that
But
out.
I'm just looking at the 10-year, $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Probably not going to spend that much, right, in 10 years.
I'm guessing, I don't know the impact in the schools and whatever.
But
Yeah, I
I'll
think-
put some numbers, but be reasonable.
How many apartment units was this?
He had
70?
like,
No.
close to 75.
75, yeah. I'm going to say 72, 75, yeah, okay.
And also what's also not here is, we make some assumptions. They'll have, people will have cars and will have more property taxes on the cars that they drive, so.
Yeah, they're market rate. I think he's
Yeah, they're market rate.
market rate. Yeah, so. All right, so we're good. We're gonna go ahead and make this informal. And plus,
More information.
couple, just give us a little more, but I think we're good with giving it a shot here. Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arosh.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, what do we got? Anything else? Mr. Town Manager, what else do we have? You haven't been busy lately, right?
No, just morning session.
Nobody in town hall's been busy, I'm sure.
That's good for now.
Is that it? We're good? All right, great. So, you really are done. Okay, good. Special committee reports, right? We haven't had any, no? Nothing? Okay. Council communications?
Yeah, I
Yes, sir.
just want to tell our residents, just to reassure them that we'll get through this.
Yes.
Yes. I've lived through polio and the Asian flu, whatever that was.
Yes, right.
But we just have to listen to the CDC. The guidelines, sneeze into your arm, keep your distance, wash your hands, no more than 10 people, and stay home. You know, the greatest generation, we sent those people off to fight in a war. We're just telling you to sit in your sofa. I mean, there's no heavy lifting here. So, I just, and don't hoard things. I mean, you're taking away, just to say you have it, you're taking it away from your neighbor, and that's not right.
Well, those that are vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, people who are really ill won't be able to take the benefit from those goods, and they may infect you, so it's really counterproductive. Just be considerate, and be nice. We'll get through this. I mean, the town is doing a great job. Arosh is doing a fine job, and the school board. Let's not panic. Let's listen to the CDC, and we'll be fine.
Just to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, Peter, I think that, at least from my end, looking at the way that the parents and the community has really come together and helped everybody through this, looking in on their neighbors, making sure that everybody's getting what they need. I know there was a tremendous response to when we sent the message out about the food pantry. I saw a lot of people offer to give rides, offer to get out and help the people that are most vulnerable to this kind of thing. And with the school community, not only is it a local thing, but it's more of a national thing, where there's a lot of communication going on with parents across the country, offering ways to help children out, get them out, to exercise, but also get them making sure they're focused on studying and not missing any class time. So I think it's been really great that first of all, our community has been very involved with that, with the smaller groups that they can put on, whether it's Facebook or other means. And then nationally, there's been some great programs out there where, you know, is anybody here ever going to visit the Cincinnati Zoo? But you can now online and check out some of the exhibits they have there. There have been plenty of people that are teaching art classes and science classes and all kinds of classes all across the board, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or that kind of thing. So it's been great, and I think especially here in Berlin, just the response of people willing to help other people out. I think it's one of those things that we lead by example, but also the community, I think, is doing a great job of leading everybody in this area by example as well.
Yeah, well, again, we all echo that. I mean, Berlin's a giving community, we know that, and we always step up to help our fellow townspeople, so I think everyone will continue to do that. And, you know, we have a good government structure, we have great management at Town Hall, great town employees, the town, structure will continue, and services will be provided, and we'll help in any way we can, or any of our residents that need it, so.
Yeah, we've got teachers and administrators who are actually volunteering their time and services for kids that are home and are studying and maybe need some extra help. And a friend of mine was driving around town saying the one good thing about this is that you actually see like parents outside with their kids, and kids are actually on bicycles and, and just kind of, being out in the fresh air and like the old days, so. Yeah. So that is one good thing. I also just wanted to do a shout out to the high school performers of Les Mis. They put on a fantastic production this past week. So again, wanted to give some props to Tyler Boyle and Jeff Sorois for just doing a magnificent job. It was just a wonderful production. These kids were incredibly talented, and it's a really difficult production, and it was wonderful. So I just wanted to mention that.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? We good? Okay, thank you for that. We just, if we can move to our acceptance of minutes, the March 3rd meeting, take a motion.
Okay. Make a motion to accept the town council meeting minutes for March 3rd.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. One abstention, motion carries. Thank you. And we will now go into our executive session.